Hello, this is Gretchen the Verdant Crafter. These are my With Enough Coffee tags. This is episode 3 in my tag series for 2018. I used 2 stamp sets for these tags. Both are from Simon Says Stamp. One is Coffee and Tea and the other is Coffee Hour. Right now I'm laying out my sentiment, with enough coffee, anything is possible, and what I would really consider to be a teacup from my Coffee and Tea stamp set. I'm treating my tag with anti-static powder tool, and I'm using Versamark ink to stamp my images. Now I'm stamping these twice because I want to make sure that all of the areas where the stamp is touching the paper is getting VersaFine on it. I want a very nice, crisp, bold, heat embossed image. In this case, I'm using, I believe, Lawn Fawn's white embossing powder. This is very crisp, it creates a very nice image, and it's very bright white. Now I'm using a brush to get a few of the little stray pieces. I'm going to heat emboss it with my heat gun. All of these tags were made the same, so I used the same sentiment and the same cup. There's very little difference between them, but that also made them very easy to mass produce. The reason I only made 3 tags was I was using scrap paper, and I only had enough brown scrap paper to make 3 tags. Coincidentally, I put these with bags of chocolate-covered mocha beans, and I only had enough chocolate-covered mocha beans to create 3 baggies, so it worked out perfectly. For my tag, I cut it out of 100 or 110 pound cardstock. I believe it was hot chocolate from Simon Says Stamp, but please don't quote me on that. And I used the Sizzix Framelits tag collection die, the second largest one. I really like the size of that tag, and I like that it does sort of a little bit of embossing on it. Here I'm treating my tag again with anti-static powder tool, and I'm going to stamp on it again. This allows me to build up a layer of VersaFine and Versamark ink, which will also allow me to build up layers of the embossing powder. I like the more dimensional look that layering embossing powder gives, and I find that it's super easy to layer it up, get a nice look, and it melts super quick. I think it's one of the easiest things you can do to get really an outstanding look. I do have 2 cats who like to be very generous with their fur, which means that I sometimes get a little extra cat fur on things, which means that stray powder tends to go other places. So my anti-static powder tool and a fine detailed brush are essential. So for each of these tags, I treated them twice. I stamped them twice, so I layered up the embossing powder twice. At this point, I got out a Versamark pen, and I thought that I would draw, I guess this is a Ranger Emboss It pen. I would draw some steam coming out of the cup. So I tried it on one of them first to see how I liked it, and I decided I didn't really like it. But I do think that this would be something very nice to do if you like the look of it. And it's so easy. Just draw some steam coming up and use some white embossing powder. You'll also see that I am rubbing everything down with a Swiffer dusting cloth. This takes up any stray dust that's on it. It takes up the anti-static powder tool, and it just cleans everything very nicely and easily. Right now I'm using the second stamp set, Coffee Hour, and I'm going to use the 2 coffee beans. So there's a larger and smaller coffee bean, and I'm going to stamp with my Versamark ink all over these. So I'm covering it first with the larger coffee bean, and then I'm going to come back in with the smaller coffee bean and go over it again. I do stamp right over my sentiment, but I don't stamp on the cup. And in some cases, I did stamp the coffee bean twice because I wasn't very careful when I pressed it down. So I only had half a coffee bean. You can see that I've done this over the other tags. Right now I'm just filling it in with the small coffee bean. And at that point, I left it. I like the look. I think it's very bold and pretty. So you can see here I have my mocha beans covered in chocolate. I used some Wilton candy bags and I just poured them in there. So now I have my 3 tags, and I'm going to use a white Wink of Stella brush pen. So right now I'm going over the surface of the coffee and I'm smudging it a little. This gives it more of a white look. It's one of the things that I love best about the Wink of Stella white. It will cover up the color below. Right there I'm going in with my finger and a little bit of water to remove it because I don't want the whole surface to be white. I really only want it to be where the sun or the light would be casting a shadow, or not shadow, the opposite of a shadow, on the surface of the water. I'm using some hemp cord, and I am just going to tie a bow with the cord so I can attach my mocha beans and my tag together. I also used a white gel pen to write a message on all of these, although I only show you writing one message. I will say, if you're having any trouble with your white gel pen, it might be that your gel pen is just old, like mine is. That's why I had so much trouble, and you need to replace it. Unfortunately, I don't think white gel pens last forever, so you often get into difficulties when they sort of start drying out. I thought I would try doing a little bit of detailing, but I decided I didn't like it, so I only did it on one of them. Here, I'm just writing my message. I'm thanking one of my coworkers for a great year so far. I was celebrating halfway through the year at a new school, and all of my coworkers are so amazing that to me it's very important that I let them know how amazing and helpful they are. I don't think that's something that we say enough to people, and it's something that we can all definitely hear, especially in the winter halfway through the school year when you're a high school teacher or a middle school teacher or a grade school teacher. So you can see I'm having a bunch of trouble with my gel pen, and I really just should have switched to a different gel pen. But you live and learn. I want to thank you for watching. I hope that you were inspired. I think it's really easy to use up your scraps to create tags, and it's fun and a really nice thing to just give someone a pick-me-up, a treat. Everyone can use a treat some days, whether you know it or not. Thank you. I hope that you have a great day, and I hope that you are inspired. Bye.